name was Robert L. May, and he wrote a story poem in the tradition of The Night Before Christmas. And it's all about this young reindeer who's taunted and shunned by all the other reindeer because he has this glowing nose, but then he can get Santa's sleigh through the fog, and he gets to be appreciated. It's a great American story. And what happened is he wrote this for his kids, and he showed it to some of his fellow employees, and Montgomery Ward distributed it free as sort of a bonus for people who were shopping there in the Christmas of 1939. And they gave out over 3.5 million copies, and they gave out 3.5 million copies in 1946 after giving out 2.5 million copies the year that May wrote it in 1939. And then at that point, Sewell Avery, who was the chairman of Montgomery once again, but Fred Astaire read the script, he didn't like it. Donald O'Connor played in that movie. Holiday Inn remains a classic. The song remains classic, and it also captures one of the aspects of Christmas. Remains, by the way, probably the best-selling song of all time. Some people say that the Elton John version of Candle in the Wind in honor of Princess Diana sold even more copies. But White Christmas talks about dreaming of a white Christmas just like the ones I used to know. Well, Irving Berlin, probably back in Russia, didn't know a lot of white Christmases. He probably didn't even know a lot of very festive Hanukkahs. The yearning, the nostalgia in the song is for a lost world that may or may not have existed. And a lot of the material that people respond to at Christmas time is about that. When Washington Irving started writing in Knickerbocker's History of New York, writing about the old Dutch Santa Claus, that was probably prettied up a little bit and a little bit exaggerated. Jingle Bells touches on the same nostalgia. Silent Night, the same nostalgic feeling, almost this yearning for something simple, secure, childlike. It's a great part of what people feel at Christmas time. Perhaps that's only profoundly appropriate when you begin to consider what the deeper messages of Christmas really are. When you look for the hope that all your days should be merry and bright. Some other works of popular culture, including the two most celebrated Christmas movies of all time, touch on similar themes. We'll talk about those movies and why they work so well coming right up. Commercial flop, it didn't earn back its money. And in fact, a number of the leading critics, like the New Yorker magazine, basically sniffed at the movie. The New Yorker wrote, practically all the actors involved behave as cutely as pixies. Wonderful Life is so mincing as to border on baby talk. Well, there's that childlike purity again. The movie is pure. It's beautiful. For many people, including Steven Spielberg, apparently, it represents the ultimate cinematic expression, with a conclusion with Jimmy Stewart holding his youngest daughter and holding Donna Reed and staring at people singing around his Christmas tree, a conclusion that can always bring tears to the eyes. Clarence, and attaboy Frank Capra, the great Sicilian immigrant, and I think the greatest director, filmmaker ever produced by Hollywood. Now, the next Hollywood classic for Christmas came the very next year, and it also has that nostalgic yearning to it, that tug to it, and it also was not a gigantic hit when it came out. It's called Miracle on 34th Street. It was called at one point The Big Heart, and it's a film that a lot of people were afraid of. They didn't know what to make of it. It did get nominated for Oscars. It won an Academy Award for Teddy Gwynn, Edmund Gwenn, playing Kris Kringle. But the whole idea of belief, of faith, of an old guy who actually is convinced that he is Santa Claus touches a chord to this day.
For the past 50 years or so, I've been getting more and more worried about Christmas. seems we're all so busy trying to beat the other fellow in making things go faster and look shiny ourselves less. Christmas and I are sort of getting lost in the shuffle.
Oh, I don't. Average American family spends 4% of its yearly income just on Christmas celebration and Christmas gifts. And you could say, well, what a waste. No, it's not a waste. What you're doing is, first of all, making the economy go. We spend more at Christmas time than the entire national product of Ireland, say. But it also is people who are galvanized because of their connection with other people. Some kind of building up of a sense of community. Even Congress moved Thanksgiving in 1939, moved it from the last Thursday in November to the fourth Thursday in November to make sure you had a 4-week Christmas season. Commerce was that important. And it was important to Charles Dickens, too, author of the ultimate Christmas classic. We'll talk about it coming up. I'm going to go into social agitation. He continues to run his business because that's important. He just pays his employees more and gives more to charity. It is a book about personal transformation, not about some kind of social transformation. It's a book about people changing themselves. That's what Dickens believed in. He also believed in making, or trying to make, a decent profit from the book. It killed him that there were so many pirated editions and pirated plays based on A Christmas Carol, particularly in America. And he actually launched a lawsuit and won the lawsuit against some of the pirates who had stolen A Christmas Carol. But then after he won, they declared bankruptcy. He tried to pursue it. He ended up losing 700 pounds trying to just chase down some of the royalties on this great, great work. The work, in a sense, recalls his own poor childhood. His father had been in debtor's prison. He had 6 children and his family growing up, just like the Cratchit family in the novel. And his youngest sickly brother was called Tiny Fred, like Tiny Tim, the unforgettable character in the novel. And the whole theme of the novel is the transformation of Ebenezer Scrooge, who became as good a friend, as good a master, and as good a man as the good old city knew, or any other good old city, town, or borough in the good old world. He became that kind of good man because of the power to change himself. And let me conclude, as the Cratchit family might say on this occasion,
and a Merry Christmas, Susan.
And God bless us, everyone.